by White House declaration, doctors and nurses must perform abortions if they are asked to do so.
Already. How can we stop it?
It's too late. God is going to do His will.
Would you say that politicians use poverty to promote their gain?
There was a guy on television before Leno, before Johnny Carson. There was a guy before him, Jack Paar.
Oh, yeah, I remember that name.
Okay. And Jack Paar had this piano player called Jose Melis.
Oh, okay.
And one of the things that Jack Paar would do would go over to the piano and just say, boom, he'd smash down his fingers on the keyboard, and this horrible discord would be played. And he'd say, okay, Jose, let's see what you can do with that. And Jose would put his fingers on those discorded notes and blend them into a beautiful melody. That's what God can do. You can strike the discord, and He makes it into a melody. As a matter of fact, there's an old gospel song, took my discord, made my discord into song. Do you know that? Life is a symphony.
Oh, yeah, I know that one.
Since the man of Galilee took my discord.
Is that right?
And blended it into song. Made me sing all day long.
I love it when you break into song.
Yeah, but I can't sing.
It's still good, though.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we have some questions from the students of this fine university. I don't know if they're in the room.
Erudite, sophisticated group out there.
Yes, and this one says, how do you feel about, and I don't even know about this, but you hopefully you will, how do you feel about the White House proposal to lift the conscience rule regulation?
That's a very good question.
What is that?
I'll tell you what that is.
Okay.
You know, earlier on the show, I had all kinds of good things to say about Obama. Yeah. And I still have a lot of good things to say about Obama. But I find that this is a horrible mistake. Peggy, I don't know whether you're aware of this, but he has just, by White House declaration, said that doctors and nurses must perform abortions if they are asked to do so, even if it is against their conscience. I'm sorry, I don't care how liberal anybody is, nobody should be forced to do something against his or her conscience. Namely, they're saying if you do, you lose your license. I believe.
Oh my gosh.
You know,
and he's really done. How do you feel? He has. It's a proposal.
No, it's already a White House.
It's a law?
It's just came out last week.
You're kidding.
And this is very, very serious because, you know, even people who are pro-choice, are saying, wait a minute, we are saying that the government should not say we can't have abortions because whether a person has an abortion or doesn't have an abortion, say the pro-choice people, should be up to their individual consciences. Well, if you're going to give the person who wants an abortion the right to make a decision according to his or her conscience, shouldn't the doctor and the nurse have the same privilege of saying, we're not going to be told by the government what we can do and what we can do? The government's got to stay out of our private sexual lives.
It says a proposal. It is a law already, you're sure? What?
I know it has come out from the White House already.
How can we stop it?
It's too late. We need to get a
new president.
We need to have an active Congress.
Wow.
And I think we better start working for
What else scares you about Obama?
That's the primary thing, because most of what he does, I say he's either, even if he's wrong, he's doing something to solve this fiscal crisis, which is the dominant crisis of our time. Yeah. This is the one issue where I really, as a matter of fact, I just wrote an article for Tikkun magazine, a Jewish magazine, on this very issue. Namely, I think that in sexual matters, it's up to an individual to act according to his or her conscience, not the government telling you what you must do and what you must not do. In war, you know I'm a conscientious objector. You know, I'm a pacifist. I can get along well with those people in Indiana who are Mennonites and who are Amish, because that's and the government says, look, this is America. If that is your conscience religiously, we're not going to force you to do something that is against your conscience. Right. I say amen. I want that same privilege for doctors and nurses. And there are enough doctors and nurses out there who will, in fact, perform abortions for the people who want them without forcing people for whom this is a sin of a high order to be forced to do it. I mean, there are places where you got to draw the line, even if you're a liberal. Got it?
Got it.
I don't know who asked that question. Anybody here?
Well, we don't.
Okay.
They may not be in here. If the church is primarily called to take care of the poor and look after the widows, and yet most Christians consider themselves Republicans and Democrats, typically known for their focus on social welfare issues, how can Christians adopt the mindset of focusing on poverty while still maintaining their political views?
I'm not sure I understand that question.
I'm not sure I do either.
I do know this, that caring for the poor, as the question starts off, is a responsibility of the church. But let's recognize that God is going to do his will, regardless of what the church does or doesn't do. And the question of poverty is so great.
What do you mean by that? God is going to do his will whether the church helps the poor or not?
Yeah, God's going to take
God
care
will
of the poor.
find some way to help the poor?
He'll find some way to help the poor. Yeah, and if he has to use government, he'll use government. And I don't think that the problem can be solved any other way. You know, I think we're winding this thing down.
All right.
35 minutes? Okay, we got 35 minutes. No, I think we need to deal with that a little more.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I often get this idea from people that the church is supposed to take care of the poor. This is not the responsibility of the government. People out there, conservative Republicans in the Christian church, will say that all the time.
Right.
You've heard it, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, I think that's coming up in another question.
Let me just say this. Okay, put up or shut up. Right now, there's a 30% cut back. I was on the front page of the New York Times this morning. 30% cut back, yesterday morning. 30% cut back on social services. The result is there are 1,000+ elderly shut-ins in Arizona, primarily around the Phoenix, Scottsdale area, who need house care. But the house care that they were given by the government, you know, these people who would be home visitors and social services, have all been discontinued. So there are 1,000 people that are going to rot and die in Scottsdale, Phoenix, Arizona, because the government has cut out its programs. Now, question, is the church going to stand up and do something about those 1,000 people? We had one of the best preachers in America here at this school just yesterday, Reverend Barnett, you know, from First Assembly of God Church in Phoenix. Great church, great preacher. I'm going to call him. I'm going to say, hey, doctor, what are you going to do about these 1,000 people? You got thousands and thousands of people in your church. Your church could go down to the social service office today and say, here we are, give us their names and addresses. If they need to be bathed twice a week, we will bathe them twice a week. If they need to have food delivered, we will deliver the food. If they need to be taken to the doctor, we will take them to the doctors. We will clean their houses. We will take care of them. That's what the church has got to do before it starts making statements like, it's the responsibility of the church, not the government.
Okay, I agree with you. What would you say? This is a good question, though.
Incidentally, I am going to call Barnett on this one.
Oh, good. We'll do that at lunch. What would you say? Would you say that politicians use poverty to promote their gain?
You know, politicians are politicians. I don't care what side you're on. Everybody runs on issues.
Right.
Nobody just simply says, vote for me, I'm wonderful, even though that's really what they mean.
Right.
Nobody says, I'm wonderful, vote for me. They say, the reason why you should vote for me is my position on the poor, my position on nuclear arms, my position on immigration, my position on... they give their positions. Yes, I think candidates run on issues. Do they run on the issue of poverty? Yes, they do. The question that is raised is, what are their motivations? Are they sincere? Answer, judge not that ye be not judged. You can judge people's actions. You cannot judge people's motivations. Only God knows the hearts. Man looketh on the outward appearance, God looks on the hearts. If you ask me what's in the heart of a politician, I say it's none of my business, that's God's business.